everyone. Welcome to the ZiaWoolz StudioBuzz podcast, episode 43. My name is Doc, and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in New Mexico. This is a podcast about knitting mainly, and lots of it. About yarn also, because I'm the dyer behind ZiaWoolz. And I feel a little bit lonely because if you have followed this podcast, you will remember that I had my friend with me visiting from Germany, and we even recorded an episode, one last episode before she left to go back home to Germany just this Monday. Today is Thursday. I don't know what happened to this week. Sorry it took me so terribly long to get on with the English version. Yeah, Doris and I, we had planned to record an episode before she leaves. And we thought it was going to happen probably Sunday, but then we diddle-daddled away the Sunday. We had knit night on Saturday, and boom, it was Monday, and we started recording, and all of a sudden we're like, no, it's not gonna work. We're not gonna be able to record the English episode also. So forgive me. She has finished her Viajante by Martina Bem in Sundancer in the colorway Green Apple, which she talked about in the previous episode, but she took it to Germany, of course, right? If you want to see her wearing it, just watch a few minutes or tune into, like minute 5 or 10, I'm not sure, of the German episode, and you'll see her. She's showing it off and kind of like, not much to say about it. 3 skeins of yarn and turned out beautiful. She also mentioned starting a shawl, a rectangular shawl that she also used yarn for, that she got from me. Again, just maybe if you're super interested, tune into the German episode, but that's something that she makes without a pattern. So she's just kind of roughly estimated a length that she wanted to have it in, because she wanted a rectangular shawl that she can wrap in the winter and for at home more. And so she was just using a bunch of my yarns, and I think all of them are sugar loaf. Yeah. So she's like, she was this far in, and I told her, if you've watched, you know that she mainly knits when she's here in America with me. And so I told her that we're going to check in on her and that I will report back to everyone to see if she really, really finished her shawl. Yes, that was Doris. I miss her. It went by so fast. You probably know how it is when you have a friend visiting and you're just having a great time together. It just goes by so fast. Yes. I want to start off with what I am wearing today. This is a pattern by Jorge Locatelli, and it is the Window to My Soul. I made this a few years ago. It was one of the first garments that I made with yarn that I dyed, and it's Window to My Soul by Jorge Locatelli in a 50-50 merino silk blend, which I call Santa Fe, and I quite like it. Let me go for a walk around the chair. Oh, yeah. You see it. Yeah. This is kind of like the weather where it's perfect. It's cooling down. in the house, the heat's going, but not quite cold enough in the house for long sleeves. So that's a good piece to wear. And I love how this turned out. I have to say, I remember my mom saying, hey, this looks so complicated. What are you making? Because it has this intricate looking pattern up here in the yoke where you actually start top down. But I remember really thinking that it's not as hard at all as it looks, and that the instructions are extremely detailed and thoroughly given. So I never felt like, oh, I'm not so sure how to do this. So it's a really nice pattern. And yeah, it's a good yarn choice because it's kind of little more swingy on the bottom. I think I made mine a little bit longer than she suggests, but I mean, that's up to everyone to choose how long you work your garment. Yep, like it. Orange buttons, orange, yellow, perfect. Mother of pearl, dyed, I guess. Yeah, like it. Okay, that was what I'm wearing. And then, in regards to works in progress, yeah, I feel like I worked on a lot of different things and did not get anything finished, which is fine, doesn't matter. But let me just start with something that made me laugh so much. Monday, I was halfway done with this item, or no, was I halfway done? I'm not quite sure. Well, I'm talking about a pair of felted slippers. I got a German pattern which came with a pack of yarn, kind of like pre-packaged, ready to go. This is just gonna make one pair of felted slippers. I used that pattern, but I used some handspun yarn, which is handspun merino 2-ply, which I thought was gonna be perfect. I picked the size for my son. What was I thinking? I should have picked a smaller size, because then if it doesn't shrink that much, it's still gonna fit someone. Whereas what happened with my slippers, in the meantime, I've knitted both and I've tried to felt them. Now I have felted slippers for a giant. Me and felting don't go well together, so let's see those for a good laugh. Oh my goodness, they are huge. Can you tell? Yes, I bet you can. Yeah, my goodness. Beautiful yarn too. So these are done with really big needles, 9mm, and you start at the heel. This is open, so it's a flat piece of fabric that you start off with, and then you cast on 2 more stitches right here, and then you join and work in the round. Easy peasy. And then you do a certain decrease, just knit the last 2 stitches of every DPN together, and then until you run out of stitches, and pull your working yarn through. What they recommend is to felt and wear it, have it kind of dry and molded to your feet right away when it's wet, okay, after washing. So I washed these with a load of jeans. It was kind of funny because on Tuesday I finished the second slipper. Monday I had done one, or almost one done. And then I thought, I'm gonna lure my son here and I'm gonna tell him, hey, guess what, I'm cooking tonight. You have to come. And I knew it was gonna be too hard, you know, once I really finished the knitting part, to wait until, I don't know, a week or so until I see him again. So I thought, well, cook his favorite food. He's going to come. I'm going to wash them and he can wear them right away. And we see how they fit. And then he's going to take them and everybody's happy. Okay. But did not happen. Because for obvious reasons. Only the dinner part that worked and the luring him over here part. Yeah. Well, I'm not giving up on these. I will give them a bunch of, I'll just wash them a few more times. I ended up putting them in the dryer too, on turbo setting. Yeah. More washes, hotter water. We'll continue to try and see how small I get them. I thought at first, man, these did not shrink at all, but they did shrink some. I took 2 pictures. I'm going to put them in here so you get the idea. But also what I thought, just in general, I thought if they really do not shrink anymore and nobody can wear them, I thought, unless you're a giant or you have a giant for a husband, let me know. You can have them, okay? If not, I will be able to use these, cut them up, and use them as, I don't know, inlays for shoes, additional support for other slippers, something like that. Yeah. Even though, yeah, I probably won't need that too much, because what I was planning to do is to put a leather sole under these, because I have a lot of leather, like small pieces, but still big enough for the soles of slippers. So I think that's something that I'm going to do just to make them more durable. I have some latex, which you paint on, but I mean, that's an option, but they wouldn't go for the men's ones because I think it's red or pink or something. Yeah. So stay tuned for more slippers and hopefully more successful felting stuff. It's so funny because you remember my sweater story where I made the sweater and it felted accidentally to kind of like this dwarf size, and now this is like I want it to shrink and it doesn't shrink. Felting and me, not always good partnership. But let's just hope for the future. Okay, what's next? My fog cutter in my beautiful Nanette Wake Studio bag. I am on my 3rd ball of yarn, and I am almost done with the front. So there will be a shaping of a neckline with short rows, but I will have to read a little more in the pattern because from what I saw, the front and the back have the same neck opening, which I wouldn't like so much. I would want the front a little bit deeper. I just like that better. And so I will have to like really take some focused time to figure it out and to but maybe if necessarily make some changes. I have one fail and one success part about this. The fail is something that I have not quite figured out so much. The way this is done is before you start the ribbing, you increase stitches. And when I did this according to the pattern, I was completely off. Then I figured out the mistake I made. I thought I corrected it, and again my stitch count was off. So now I'm gonna really have to maybe look a little bit closer what happened here before I go on, because I thought all of a sudden, I thought maybe my increases here were not done correctly, and I don't think so, but who knows. And of course you need them to line up so you can actually do the seaming in the correct way. So I will have to check on that when I spend some more time with this baby. But also the success was that the skein that I spun to match, oh my gosh, it is so perfect. When I was taking it off the wheel, I thought, ooh, I think this is, for one, too fat, and on the other hand, too darker than the first batch that I dyed for the sweater. And then when I put the skein on the finished piece, it looks pretty perfect. So this is definitely gonna work for my sleeves, and I have this much still from that third skein. And I've told you before that one skein I messed up because I wasn't thinking, and I drum carded it and blended everything on the drum carder. So it's a blended blue. It's a blended very light blue, which doesn't really match the stripiness of this guy. But it would have been just for, emergency for the sleeves. But I'm super happy with this new skein, so I'm covered. And that was the Fog Cutter by Thea Coleman. I've showed you the pattern several times. I've kept this out in the garage, so I haven't touched it since Monday, since I recorded with Doris. I'm in the garage. I'm calling it the garage, but this is actually my dye studio in the garage, where I do the setup. And yeah, I hope the light is okay, by the way, because I only opened the garage door halfway. It's kind of windy and blowing a little bit outside, which means, of course, I have less light, but I think it's okay. So that was this. Then what else have I done? I have continued working on my Hap, which lives in the beautiful bag that Doris made for me. And whoops, I got my second ball of Shetland wool ready to go, because I'm almost at the end of the first one and I am still in the middle of a row. How could I not? But you can see. So I've shown this before, and this is where I am right now. I had reached the middle, because you start from the bottom, from this tip, and at the widest, after the widest point in the middle, you start decreasing again, and that's where I am. Exciting. Now it's going to go faster and faster again. And then it's going to get really exciting and fast also when I get to the edge, because that's going to be more fun, because that's where the colors will be added. Great stuff. Well, I told you that Doris finished her Viajante. Doris made, by the way, also some cuffs, just knitted woolen cuffs for for her husband's leather jacket. And this is what she used, by the way, dark gray wool. And when she cast on these guys, I thought, oh, I want to cast on something too. You know how that goes. So we had our little cast on party, and I grabbed something that I showed you before last winter. And it is the ZiaWoolz by Alyssa Latucci. She's a local to me, very talented designer. I love this pattern, and I love the reference to my mountains. I call them my mountains, the Sandias right here behind our house, where there is a trail that goes up the mountain, which is called the ZiaWoolz Trail. And by the way, you know that Doris wore the Pinot, my Pinot, the orange one, in the last episode, which is also a reference to another trail up the mountain, which I actually hiked up with the kids and with some friends shortly after we moved here 12 years ago. And the Pinot, by the way, some of you commented that it looks so great on her, that she should take it home, and I am happy to report that I gifted it to her, and she was super happy, and of course she loved it, and she took it home to Germany. She already sent me a message that she was wearing it because it was kind of chilly. It was just a nice thing around for warmth around the shoulders. Yeah. So this is the hat. Back to this. And I joked last time. I said, this is where I am. No. I did really cast on, I promise. But I'm not far in. That's the yarn that I'm using. It's my sport base. It's called ZiaWoolz Chama. Chama is a yarn which I love for anything textured because it's an 8-ply cabled yarn. So it gives you this beautiful stitch definition in a pattern like this. So I can't wait to really get going with it. I used an orange colorway, but then wanted it even brighter orange and overdyed it a little more, speckled it a little more, put in some neon, and now I think it's gonna make a beautiful hat. And gotta be careful that I don't pull the wrong needle. Well, this is where I am. Not too far. So I have started this, as the instructions say, with 3mm needles. Alyssa tells you to then go up to 3.5mm needles, and I decided I'm going to go up to 4mm needles. Oh, actually there's a 0.75 or a 0.25 size, which I don't own and I didn't want to get. And then I thought that I made a hat, the beeswax hat, with the same yarn last winter, and that hat is a little bit tight for me, but it's made with 4mm needles, and it has 8 stitches less compared to this one. So I thought what I'm going to do is I will use the same needle size, and with the 8 additional stitches I will probably get a size that will be perfect for me. So stay tuned. More about this to come by the next episode. What? Has this already been everything I've been working on? It seems so little. Well, it was one thing I wanted to work on, which I'm so embarrassed about. And it is My Amory by Isabel Kramer. So, well, the story is this. It lives in this bag that I made, and here is the pattern with a signature by the one and only fabulous Isabel. So here's the story. So I had put this aside after knitting on it on a road trip and thinking, I've been knitting for hours, which felt for hours, but I don't see anything that grew. I cannot even tell I've knitted on this. So I thought, this is really no fun. I set it aside. I kept thinking I should either frog it or I should gift it to someone who is up for finishing it. The yarn was, by the way, a very affordable Holst yarn from Denmark. We did a joint order where still every sweater quantity was around or under $20. I mean, amazing yarn. Beautiful. Little scratchy, but not too bad, especially after washing. So just recently I saw one friend who finished her second one, short sleeve this time, and another friend wearing hers, which also looked so beautiful. And then we talked about it at midnight, and I was reminded that yet another friend also had finished hers months ago. And I thought, dang, it's a beautiful sweater. I should just get over myself and get on with it and finish the thing. And if I really don't want to make long sleeves, I'll just make it with short sleeves. It's going to be fine. So I pull it out of the bag, thinking I'm kind of like here, splitting the sleeves kind of halfway through the body. No, I have not even split for the sleeves. Goodness gracious. Oh, I couldn't believe it. It's swearing. Well, this side is a little smoother. You can tell how far in I am. So I need to get to the point where I split the sleeves off, and that'll look better. And also, first of all, I need to start working with this pattern because I have no clue where I am. Did I put notes on my paper? I don't think so. I didn't see them. Maybe I did, and I just was scanning the pattern and feeling so bad about how far in I was. But we'll see how this goes. I would like that sweater. I really would, because it's also going to be, it would be a great sweater, just a thin wool, you know? Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. One more thing that I did is I dyed up some of that yarn. No, not the yarn. The wool that Doris brought me from Germany. It is a very woolly, very sheepy bat, or many bats, where I wanted to try something that I haven't done. So I dye my spinning fibers in all kinds of ways. I used to dye them in our oven in flat pans. I'm not doing that anymore since I'm out here. I have dyed spinning fiber in the microwave in foil, which turned out fine, but this year what I've done for the first time is solar dyeing. Another thing that I had never done is dyeing on the stove top in a pan, and I did that with some bats, so just one pan. I just splattered on some greens and a little bit of purple, and that's what I dyed, and I turned it into a 2-ply yarn, and I really love it. Turned out so lovely. So this is wool from sheep that are very typical for the area that Doris comes from, where she lives, Leineschafe. And the way it's prepared is also still, they kept it very natural. It's still very greasy, and it had quite a bit of VM, so I had to pick out a lot of that while I was spinning, or I just held up the bat against the light and picked out my little bits of straw. I'm usually, when I get a commercially prepared roving, I do not like that too much, and it doesn't normally happen too much, but in this case it was just so different, because I felt like with the VM in it, I felt that means vegetable matter, by the way, for those of you who are not spinners, but that it just meant, it just was a sign of how connected it still is with the place where it comes from. And it was just, yeah, it made it feel very natural in a way. Yeah, I'm happy. I did not even weigh this guy, and I did not get any yardage. It's probably a sport or a DK weight. It's not too important. And my thought is that I will probably make some fingerless mitts, something for myself, which is really special and a reminder of, of friendship, essentially. Special, yeah. I have been spinning some more because we have the High Desert Studio Tour coming up again in roughly 2 weeks. Today's Thursday, well, Saturday, in 3 weeks, I think. So if you've watched me before, you may know that I may know what this is, but I'm gonna say a few words about it if you don't. The studio tour takes place in my part of the town, and there's a few artists that open their homes for people to stop by and see where people work, see what they make, and if they're interested to shop for Christmas. I mean, that's mid-November, so people are getting ready. Yeah, and I offer a lot of yarns, which is of course for the knitters and for the makers, but also I try to have something that's a finished item, where if you need a nice gift and you like that kind of stuff, you can buy it. I used to make a lot more finished garments, which I completely went away from, but I still make fingerless mitts, and I mainly make the ones that I enjoy the most to make, which are the ones from hand spun yarn. Last year, this led me to writing up the pattern, which is up on Ravelry as a free pattern, the Duke City Mitts, which gives you stitch count for various gauges and various yarns, which is kind of especially helpful when you work with hand spun yarn because you don't have a reliable weight. So I have not yet started making fingerless mitts, but I thought I do really want to spin up some yarn from some hand dyed braids. And so these I have not even shown on the German podcast, but since I have them out here, I thought I'd bring them here. 4-ounce skeins and 2 colorways that I spun that are still slightly moist. One more than the other. This is one that I finished today. I love this in that dark purple and the rust color. Both of the braids were dyed by me, solar dyed this year. So they're super wet on the bottom. Yeah. I'm probably gonna even take these into the house so I can wind them up, and so they can dry faster first, and then so I can wind them up. Okay, that's everything I've been knitting on. It feels so little, but I think it's mainly in comparison to Monday when I was talking with Doris, and she also had a lot to say about what she was making. So yeah, but it is what it is. I did bring out so I wanted to say a word about the shop just real quick. I'm not going to go into detail. There's a lot of yarns still in the shop. If you are in the market for yarn, it's there. I normally don't have that much sitting there, but it's still going to be there until the studio tour. But also I have a lot of project bags in there now, and there is still one of the pinup witches in there, and which I love, and this is the very last one. If you were tempted to grab one of these, this is the last one, and it's the one that has, let me just pull it out. I'm going to show you after all. This is what it has on the back. And on the inside, it's chandeliers with hangings, dangling spiders. Don't get it if you have a phobia of spiders. Somewhere, where's the spider? Oh yeah, here. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So these are the pinup, which it's a large sweater size. So that's what I use for for example, I keep in mine my song blanket. This is another one that a lot of people get, especially as a gift for their girlfriends, because everybody likes a hot guy, right? Most people, I should say. And this is how this looks like on the back. Let me see what's inside. Beautiful flowers. Flannel. None of my bags have interfacing because interfacing and me are not friends, and you can wash these infinitely. I wash mine all the time because then the cat sleeps on it and whatnot. Now I'm going to get an avalanche in a second. Another one of my favorites, the Space Girls. Always neutral on the back, usually, most times, and flannel on the inside. My handles have velvet here. And I thought I'd bring this guy also because it's so Day of the Dead, fall appropriate. That's the shawl size. The other ones, all three of them were sweater size. Inside. All right, and now I have really come to the end. I'm gonna say goodbye. I had fun again chatting with you, and I am looking forward to next time. And until then, happy knitting.